Welcome back to the very final episode of the season 1 of the Daniel Smith Color Showdown. As I said in the previous episode, if you'd like to see season 2 happen very quickly, then please head on over to Patreon, as the season 2 of the Daniel Smith Color Showdown is a Patreon goal, and that just means that in season 2 you'll be able to request colors and the price of those paints won't matter so much in whether it makes it into this season or not. And of course it's the more expensive paints that we're all wary of trying out of just sheer potluck and we want to know more about. And so if you'd like to support this channel and are able to financially do so, then please head on over to Patreon. I am very eternally grateful for all my Patreons. Thank you so much. Please do not worry if you can't afford it. This isn't a compulsory thing. Just watching this channel alone really helps out the channel, and I'm so glad that you are here and we can have so much fun with lovely beautiful paints. So thank you for watching. Now for the final episode of this season of the Daniel Smith Color Showdown, I had to do these three because, as you know, Queen Rose by Daniel Smith is my absolutely utmost favorite color in the whole wide world. I think it's the most beautiful color. However, Queen Magenta used to be my favorite color before Queen Rose came in. I've not used the Queen Magenta until filming this episode. However, I used to use the Holbein one, and that is a very beautiful option as well. And then Daniel Smith has an enormous range of quinacridones, particularly the pinky rosy colors. These are just like a handful of them, such as the Quinacridone Pink, but we also have the Quinacridone Coral, which is slightly oranger, the Quinacridone Lilac, and then you get into the purples and things. So the quinacridones for Daniel Smith, particularly this range of hue, is quite confusing because they are quite similar. So I thought it would be quite interesting to compare these three and really get to know what the difference is, whether they are worth having individual colors or can you just pick one of them, and if so, how would you pick one over the other. All three of these colors are series 2, so the price doesn't really come into it when deciding between the three. So we're going to take a closer look at each of these colors and then we'll come back and compare the three together. First up is the Quinacridone Pink, and it is a series 2 color made out of a single pigment of PV42, which is your Quinacridone Pink. Jackson's website says Quinacridone Pink is a rich, low-staining pink. Quinacridones are the brightest, boldest colors modern technology can offer. All quinacridone colors excel in clarity, intensity, durability, and transparency. So basically that little blurb is the same thing they say for other quinacridone colors. And then they continue saying, try with mixing with indigo for deep, dusty purples or indanthrone blue for rich, clear purples. It is classified as very good in light fastness, which is 1 down from excellent. It is transparent, non-granulating, and low staining. Next up is my absolute favorite color, the Quinacridone Rose by Daniel Smith. It is a series 2 color and it is made out of PV19, which is gamma quinacridone, which is the most widely used pigment for these kind of bright pink hues. Jackson's website says Quinacridone Rose is a vivid red-violet color. And again, they go on to say quinacridones are the brightest, boldest colors modern technology can offer. All quinacridone colors excel in clarity, intensity, durability, and transparency. Try mixing with indigo for deep, dusty purples or indanthrone blue for rich, clear purples. So basically, they're saying the same thing as the Quinacridone Pink. It is classified as excellent in light fastness, which is better than the Quinacridone Pink, and transparent, non-granulating, and medium staining. And finally, we have the Quinacridone Magenta. Quinacridone Magenta is a series 2 color and it is made with PR202, which is a Quinacridone Magenta. Jackson's website says Quinacridone Magenta is a deep violet red that produces glowing washes. And I'm going to totally skip all the bits that they repeat because you've heard it twice before already. The only difference in their text is that they do say, try using Quinacridone Magenta against yellow greens. And of course, yellow green would be a complementary colour of the Quinacridone Magenta. It is classified as excellent in light fastness, transparent, non-granulating, and medium staining. We are back. The paints have dried. This is Quinacridone Pink, this is Quinacridone Rose, and this is Quinacridone Magenta. Straight away, I can see that the Quinacridone Pink has a lighter mass tone than the Quinacridone Rose. Quinacridone Pink has less tinting strength than the Quinacridone Rose or the Quinacridone Magenta as well. All three are prone to cauliflowering on most of the papers, so it's best to take good care of them when you're trying to do a flat wash. They are all very bright, very brilliant colors. I love all three of them, and all three do good job at gradated washes. One thing to note with the Quinacridone Pink is that it moves fast in water. So, you know, when you're doing the washes and there's some water and as soon as paint touches, it will just shoot across your paper way more than the Quinacridone Rose or the Quinacridone Magenta does. In fact, it's way more than I'm used to with any other color. On to the opacity now. This row is Quinacridone Pink, this row is Quinacridone Rose, and this row is the Quinacridone Magenta. In terms of opacity, like any other Quinacridone colors, I would say that all three are very transparent indeed. I can't see any deposit at all over those black lines. Now, in terms of lifting, it's interesting to note that Daniel Smith classifies Quinacridone Pink to be low staining, whereas the other two are classified as mid staining. And I bring this up because to me, all three were pretty easy to lift to this point, but you can't get past this point, so you're not going to get the pure white paper back. So I would say all three are mid staining because they are relatively easy to lift, but you can't get it back to as lighter color as the low staining colors are. In terms of the glazing, all three glazes great. There's no difference between the three really. They all create clear glazes and the layers are very well defined. In terms of gauzing is where I had a big surprise. Quinacridone Pink apparently gauzes. I don't know why. It's the first time I've had a Quinacridone gauze with a linear pattern on me. It is incredibly interesting to me. The Quinacridone Pink is made out of PV42, which is Quinacridone Pink. Normally, you get what you see in the Quinacridone Rose and the Quinacridone Magenta, this patchy, not a lot happening-ness. This is the first Quinacridone. So for that, I do like this color. For the salting, they all salt to a degree. I would say that the Quinacridone Magenta reacts to the salt the most. The least reactive of the three is Quinacridone Rose, but you still get very interesting patterns. In terms of blooming by adding clear water onto a wet wash, you do get pretty decent blooms. I think the Quinacridone Magenta has the most amount of bloom, but they all do the job pretty well. In terms of how the three colors mix with the other colors, again, this is Quinacridone Pink, this is Quinacridone Rose, and this is Quinacridone Magenta. With colors that are in this kind of range of pinky, magenta-y hues, the perfect complement that will neutralize these colors is anything that falls in the green section of the color wheel. So phthalo green is a really common one that people uses. However, I like to use a hooker's green because I find that it neutralizes a little bit better to a middle gray, whereas I find with the phthalo green it creates a colder kind of gray. So that just depends on which kind of gray you are looking for. And on here, I mixed the 3 colors with hooker's green here, here, and here. And they all create lovely varying shades of gray. They make really bright mixes with the yellows and oranges and reds. The Quinacridone Rose mixed with Scarlet Lake makes the most intensely bright pillar box red. It is amazing. I didn't think Scarlet Lake could get brighter, but apparently it can if you add some Quinacridone Rose to it. Now, one of the issues with the ultramarine colors are that they don't tend to have too much oomph to their color. You get the lovely granulations, but in terms of color intensity, it's not as high as the quinacridones. But of course, by adding quinacridones to it, you get these really granulating, really intense, strong purples. I'm also a big fan of the Quinacridone Magenta mixed with the phthalo blue yellow shade here and the phthalo turquoise here. I think those two are very pretty inky colors. Since Jackson's mentioned twice that the Quinacridone Rose and the Quinacridone Pink are brilliant to mix with indigo and indanthrone, I thought I would make a quick mixing chart with those two colors mixed with our quins. Now I have to apologize that it's ordered the wrong way around to everything else. So we have the Quin Magenta here, the Quin Rose here, and the Quinacridone Pink here. And then the left column of each color is the indigo, and the right column of each color are the colors mixed with indanthrone blue. The Quinacridone Magenta also makes very beautiful range of purples as well. A little bit more muted, but I would say it's more dramatic. I will of course be making the scans of these swatches available on my Patreon page for my Patreons. In summary, all three are very beautiful colors, and with most things they behave pretty much the same. Some of the differences between these colors being that the Quinacridone Magenta is of a more violety hue than the Quinacridone Pink and the Quinacridone Rose. Quinacridone Pink is a little less intense quinacridone color, so if you are wary of quinacridones being so bright, but you want to have a way in to give them a go, then I would say that Quinacridone Pink might be a good option for you because it's not quite as intimidating as the really bright colors like the Quinacridone Rose and the Quinacridone Violet. The Quinacridone Pink does also gauze, which is still confusing me. This episode and the last episode have been full of surprises when it comes to gauzing. If you do like to make lots of bright oranges by mixing it with yellows and quinacridone golds, then I would recommend going for either the Quinacridone Pink or the Quinacridone Rose, because the Quinacridone Magenta having that violet tinge means it's going to neutralize the yellow a little bit to make a more muted orange. Within these two, it's basically a matter of, do you want to go for the little bit softer, paler Quinacridone Pink or the really intense Quinacridone Rose? As for me, I am still going to stick to the Quinacridone Rose because I just love this color. It has such depth and warmth and the right balance. It's not too cold, it's not too orangey, it's not too red. For me, it's the perfect pink color for me. However, I will be keeping a tube of the Quinacridone Pink close to hand because it does make this gauzing thing, and I will be investigating more into why this quinacridone gauzes when none of the other quinacridone gauze. So which one would you go for? Would you go for the Quinacridone Pink, the Quinacridone Rose, or the Quinacridone Magenta? Maybe one, maybe two, or maybe all three. do let us know in the comments down below. And if you do have one of these colors on your palette and you use it often, then please do let us know down in the comments below how and where you use it in your art, because that information is so valuable to everyone to just know how other artists use that. Provides so much inspiration for so many people. I can't believe this is the end of season 1. I am half surprised that I actually made it all the way through, and I am also very, very proud that we go through a 10 episode season. I'm actually getting teary because I am so overwhelmed by the support and love that this series have received in such a short time. I am so touched every time you guys let me know that you've learned a lot and that it's been a useful episode, each episode. So thank you so much for your support and kindness and praise, and also in sharing so generously the knowledge you have for each color. I've learned so much from you guys. You guys are fantastic and I love all of you. Thank you so much. As I said earlier in the video, if you'd like season 2 to happen very soon, then please head on over to my Patreon site, because that is a Patreon goal that will help make season 2 so much better, because it will allow this channel to just be able to purchase whatever color you want us to try, rather than be restricted by my own personal financial situation. And also, if you do become a Patreon, you do actually get to vote and have a say in what color comparison is going to make it into season 2. We will have a big vote of which pairings of colors you'd like to see. I am gonna go away now before I start crying, because that will be slightly embarrassing. Yay, it's done, and hopefully I will see you in season 2 really, really soon. Thank you so much. Bye.